So what's up, Isabelle? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all good. I'm all good. How's with Sweden at the moment? I'm right in saying I've been seeing on the news that like it's pretty much as normal. Life is as normal during this coronavirus.
Yeah, it's sort of normal. I mean, people are working from home a lot, but other than that, it's quite the same actually. Except we're not in the clubs training; we're outside training. But other than that, it's good.
Yeah, because is there a lot of cases or deaths, or is it fairly low at the moment?
It's quite low. It's not too much of a case right now. I mean, the hospitals are quite busy, but other than that, it's just life is normal, which is kind of a good feeling. But yeah, I can imagine it's worse other places.
Yeah, how have you find moving the classes to outside?
It's actually been quite good. I mean, we've had a lot of luck with the weather because it's spring here, so the sun's out and the weather's all good. So people are actually quite happy about not having to be inside a dojang when the sun's out because Sweden's usually quite grey and rainy, so they're happy about that.
Yeah, and what do you think about Euros being cancelled? Do you think it'll be rescheduled or?
I hope it will. I mean, I'm I'm quite bummed out that it's moved and cancelled, but it's for good reason. So, but I hope we'll be given a new chance because I mean, a lot of people have prepared for a long time, and I know we had a few new juniors, especially that are really wanting to go. So yeah, what about you guys? You think it's bad?
I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be.
No.
I think it's going to be called off, and by the time everything starts to get back to normal and people can get back training, I think it's going to be too late, and like it'll be too close to the World Cup, and maybe if they do
Yeah,
have, people will decide just won't attend, and there's all these sorts of things. So I think it's just going to get cancelled for this year, which is a shame.
it's a shame. Yeah, it definitely is. But what do you think about the World Cup? You think that's gonna still get going, or you think they'll cancel that as well?
I'm very. I'm hoping it's going to go ahead, but I don't think it's likely at the moment. Like I said,
No, no. If it continues like this, I don't think it'll be going. No.
yeah, it's just because like that, it's fine to say you'll to host the event, but if people haven't been training, are they going to attend? And then if people
Exactly.
don't attend, then what's the point? If it's only going to be, 5 and 6 people or 10 people in divisions, what's the point in having? It's not a World Cup. Then it's just a Mickey Mouse tournament,
It's just
really.
like a exactly. Yeah. No, no. I mean, especially people that are used to fighting and competing at a certain level will I don't think they'll want to compete if they haven't trained or done what they usually do before competitions because I mean it's a lot of pressure for everyone and you want to be in the ring and do your best and if you haven't been able to do that then you're not going to attend.
Were you going to fight at this Euros? Because I know you didn't fight in individual in the last one.
No, I was going to fight this Euros. Yeah, last Euros I had a bit of a I was unlucky with yeah, well, sickness. I got sick. I got the flu before the Euros during the lineup to the last weeks. So I was just there as a coach, and then I was on the team just to back the girls up. But this time I was going to compete individually as well. Yeah, and I was really looking forward to it because I wanted to sort of try to fight my way back to the top again.
Yeah, but did you find it hard watching the division?
I did, yeah. It was really hard. I sort of broke down crying halfway in between because I mean, yeah, you love this, you have a passion for it, and it was hard. It was really hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. Because I know, like any times, like I had an injury in 2016 before the World Cup,
Mm.
and kind of watching the live stream and looking at the draws and stuff was kind of how you kind of think, you want to be there.
Yeah, you really do. And I mean, as you said, you give this sport everything you have, and you really like live for it. So not being able to compete when you know you want to and when you have the capacity, usually yeah, it sucks.
So, how did you actually get started in Taekwondo?
It's actually quite a funny story because I was the first and only one in my family who did sort of martial arts. Everybody else was swimmers. And me and my father were outside one day when I was in the States because we lived there for a while. And I saw some people training outside like we're doing now. And I said, Dad, that's what I want to do. I want to start with that. Taekwondo seems fun. And since then, I've just kept on going. And that's 21 years ago. So I was 5 when I started, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have a big family then? Many?
Yeah, in my family we're just four, but I mean I have a lot of cousins, a lot. My parents have a lot of siblings and stuff, so we're quite a big family in that way. But my sister started kickboxing a few years back because she liked that a lot. But she was sort of inspired when it went well for me. She wanted to do something else, but Taekwondo wasn't really her thing. So, but we've trained a lot together. Yeah. She
But
oh yeah, no, she said that she couldn't compete with me in Taekwondo, so then she didn't want to try it. She wanted her sport for herself. So I get that.
and when you started training in America, was that it was ITF Taekwondo as well? Was it, or was it?
No, I did 1 year. The first year I did was WTF, but then we moved back to Sweden, and I started ITF there in the club that I'm still in now today, Frölunda, which is quite cool. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But it's quite lucky, I suppose, that there was an ITF club fairly close by to where you moved to.
yeah, that was really good because I'm happy. I'm happy I went through with the ITF because I feel like it's given me more. It's a more diverse sport, and I feel like you can connect it with many more other ones, and it's easier to fight. I mean, we've had camps where we trained with Thai boxers, kickboxers, and stuff like that, and seeing as we use our hands as well, it gives us more of a fair fight.
Yeah, for sure. And did you compete straight away as a color belt? Did you get into competing early?
Yeah, I started when I was a yellow belt, so we had these sorry children competitions, and it didn't really go very well at first, but I thought it was fun. But I was sort of one of the smaller kids because I've always been quite light and skinny. I've been tall, but not very tough that way. So it didn't go the way I planned for the first couple of like 10 years, but then it got better. So yeah, just kept on going. It's a good thing I thought it was fun, even though I lost a lot. But yeah, I think you learn a lot from losing as well. And I mean, as a child, you're just supposed to think it's fun. It doesn't really matter if you win or lose. It's just you're supposed to do it because you like it.
Yeah, 100%. Would you have preferred maybe? Because like I don't like when I was a color belt, I obviously better in patterns and would have much preferred patterns to sparring. But no, as it kind of went up through the levels, it's kind of flipped around now to where I'd be more of a spar, and to where I'm only sparring really at the moment. So would you have had anything similar like that? Would you have been more one than the other?
Yeah, I sort of always liked sparring though, but it's sort of flipped because now that after I got my black belt, I sort of thought that the patterns were much more fun than the color belt ones. Especially when I got my second degree, I thought they were quite interesting, seeing as they were really hard. A lot of jumps, a lot of balance, a lot of technique, and that was sort of fascinating. So that's why I started competing in patterns as well when I became a senior because I didn't really do that before. But it's cool. But sparring's always been the number one thing. I mean, that's the most fun, I think. It's the most action.
Yeah, but even it's interesting though. Like you said, maybe not so much success as a color belt that you didn't get disheartened as like as to like before. By the time you got the black belts, you hadn't thought like, oh, I'm not really good at that. I've got the black belt now. I'm going to pack that in, because I find like sometimes people get the black belt, and if they haven't been overly successful as a color belt, they might decide that, okay, I've achieved my goal now. I've got the black belt. I'm going to stop and maybe do something else and focus on something else.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, it's always been more about the sort of Taekwondo family, which has always kept me going because I've had all my friends there and it's been sort of my safe place. So it's been where I've gone if I've had good days, bad days, if I just want to hang out. So it's been more than just a sport. It's been like, yeah, a second home, which I think has helped a lot, even though I didn't get to like the level I wanted to as a color belt. I just kept going when I became a black belt because there was like, I never thought about quitting. I just wanted to keep going and see how far I could get.
Yeah, like I say quite a lot, is like, for me anyway, 50% of the reason I compete and want to compete at this level is the fact of the people I train with. I train with every day. People you see at like our squad sessions, the people you go on the trip with, and the enjoyment you have on those trips, along with trying to be a world champion, a European champion, and everybody like that is pushing in the same direction, trying to achieve the same goal. That's where I get half the enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't have done it for like 21 years if I didn't think it was fun outside of the competition. And I mean, half the point is all my friends, all the people you meet, all the experiences outside of the ring as well. And then, I mean, the rounds are like 2 minutes and the pattern isn't much longer than that. So, I mean, if you just live for those small moments, you wouldn't get a lot out of it in the long run.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it's a very narrow focus, I suppose. Then if it's only about standing on the top step of the podium, it's like obviously that's a big focus and is a major part of it. But if it's the only focus, then I think you start to lose I would start to lose interest fairly fast.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I'd be able to keep myself motivated for a longer period of time. And I mean, especially during the like trainings towards a big championship, you need your friends and you need your support. You need the like family feeling, because otherwise you're not going to be there doing that extra, pushing that extra mile every day, because you're not going to enjoy it as much.
100%, yeah. And so, like, then when did you first get onto the national team then?
I got onto the national team in 2009, so it's a few years ago now.
Yeah.
And it was right after I got my I got my black belt. So because I'd been to the tryouts before as a red belt, for just because we have when you're a red belt you can go and try out and then you can train with them for a year before you get your black belt, sort of as a test run for seeing if you're qualifying or not. And I didn't qualify that year. So, but when I got my black belt, I won the Norwegian championships that year in my weight category, which qualified me for the national team. So that was quite cool. And then 2010 was my first competition
So
as a junior.
you qualified for the Swedish team through the Norwegian championships.
I was in Norway first at that time because
Oh,
I've moved around a lot. Yeah. So my first years, and up until from 2010 to 2015, I was on the Norwegian national team because I lived in Norway. Yeah, and then from 2015 on up until now, I've been on the Swedish national team. So it's been quite cool, yeah. And I mean, it's an interesting experience, sort of competing for two different teams, because I'm both Norwegian and Swedish, because my mom's both, and so I have both Norwegian family and Swedish family. So it's been quite cool competing for both of my home nations, if I can say it that way.
and has there been much of a difference between the teams, like the kind of setup and maybe the atmosphere in the team? And
Yeah, it's quite a big difference actually. I mean, the Norwegian team is a really big team, and there are a lot of competitors in Norway, which sort of makes yeah, it makes it a quite different experience because there are a lot more people that you're competing with every day and through all the competitions and stuff to keep your team in your place. So there's a bit of a bit more competitive vibe at the same time as they're very happy, very nice, and I mean, they're a huge family and everybody's just sort of happy to be where they are, and they're very kind and stuff, but you can sort of sense that there's a bit of a more of a competitive side to it. The Swedish team, on the other hand, is very, very small, and I mean, there's not a lot of diversity in Sweden. It's just a few that are actually at that level or even want to compete at that level. So the competition part of it is a lot smaller. I mean, the Norwegian championships was almost 3 days long, but the Swedish championships is one day, and I mean that says a lot. So yeah.
yeah, what do you think the reason is for the Swedish national team being small? Like, is Taekwondo small in Sweden in general, or is it just maybe like you said, people are just maybe not at that level and want to push for the national team?
I mean, Taekwondo in Sweden is quite new, I would say, especially at that level. There's only been a few people that have actually pushed for people to compete on a higher level in that way. And I mean, the people that are training now, a lot of them just do it for fun, and they don't really want that extra pressure or anything. And the sport is quite small. There's only, I mean, it might be big compared to others, but there's 7,000 people training in Sweden in total. But I mean, in only one of the clubs in Norway, the one that I was in, we were like 3,000 people in just that club. So that's quite a big difference, just that. So I just say the sport is smaller, and then people haven't really discovered that they can compete at a higher level. Plus, the level in the Swedish national, I mean, it's not as high as a lot of other countries, I would say, because there's not a lot of people competing. So it's hard to build that sort of same high level all around.
Do you think maybe what would help is if people like yourself and maybe other people on the national team open clubs and started to push people towards the national team? Do you think that would maybe help if you had high level competitors start to become, I suppose, high level coaches and open clubs with ambitions of having people on the national team?
Definitely, I think that would be a great help. And I mean, we've started off with not opening clubs, but we have a lot of like sort of camps, training camps. So some of us on the national team have we have a few days for sparring, or we have a few days where we do just power breaking and special techniques, or we have just patterns, which has helped a lot as well, because it sort of sparks an interest for people to actually try to learn more and to become better and reach further. So, but there's a lot of us talking about starting clubs as well, or actually taking over more like training at the clubs that we're in, so we can help out to build a higher level and a bigger interest.
Yeah, I suppose like even like you said, the seminars, that if you can expose people to the highest level, and maybe some people might come along and train with the top people on the team and realize actually they're not much better than me. Maybe they're a bit better, but maybe I could get to that level, and it might encourage some people to start to push for the national team and stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's quite an important step in sort of building the level at and not just for the national team, but I mean in Sweden as a total, to make, because if you build a higher low level, then the higher level is going to become even higher and better. So, and as you said, I mean, if people come along on the trainings and they see that they can actually compete and that they're good enough to to give us a run for our money, then I think that yeah, it gives them extra motivation to continue and just push that extra mile.
And so you mentioned some of the camps. Like, how would the squad session like for us here in Ireland? We have like national team squad trainings in the lead up to a tournament, maybe once every 2 weeks, and maybe it could be a little bit longer between sessions. But usually that's because there's a tournament that's filling in the gap. Would it be something like, we're lucky? I had Magomed on the podcast from Norway, and he said like squad sessions are fairly like they don't have that many. But and I think that's partly because Norway is so big and it's hard for everybody to get around the country. Whereas in Ireland, we can get to the other side of the country in 3 hours pretty much. So everybody can get to one location fairly easy. Like, what's the kind of setup then in Sweden?
Yeah, I mean, before a big competition, we usually have, I mean, the 4 months before, we have one team session a month for the national team, where all of us gather. But then it's a bit further for us to travel. It's like 5 hours by car or something like that to get to where most of the other people are. So then we usually do that half the group meet in Gothenburg or half the group meet in Stockholm, because that's sort of the in-between places. So it's made it easier, because then we can get more trainings where we're not the whole team, but we're half the team, sort of, which makes it easier. And then, as I said, we have once a month where we're everybody on the team. So it gives you time to adjust, even though you don't get the full on feel for the team, but you still get the training you want with the people that can help you and push you. Yeah.
Yeah, so then how did you? I'm not totally sure. Like, how did you get on then as a junior, competing for Norway then?
Well, as a junior, I wasn't really, I actually had quite a hard time, especially individually. We were a very good team of girls. So, I mean, the last year of my junior career, we won, yeah, all the team events that we were part of, because in Norway, you're not allowed to do power break when you're a junior. But we did, so we won, and that's because of like, they don't want you to injure yourself while you're still growing, which I can totally buy. It's, yeah. I wouldn't want to do power breaking anyways, but that's because I work with my hands.
Don't say no to me. I don't.
No.
No. For me, hitting hard things is not. I don't find that enjoyable. I much prefer hitting other people.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, I agree. I'd rather have something that hits me back than something that can hurt me anyways.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. No, but so as a junior, I actually had a hard time, as I said, individually, because I was my own worst enemy. I just I didn't really know how to like relax before a competition, so I just freaked myself out most of the time, which ended up in me losing either the first round or the second round, which, yeah, that was hard. And I mean, I think one of the reasons I continued was because of the team that we had with the girls, and we were quite close and we helped each other a lot. And I mean, we won everything the last year, which was good. So I still feel like I got a good end to the junior career before I went on to the senior.
Yeah, like for myself, I was kind of similar myself. Like junior, I didn't really win. I had, I think I was one individual medal, and it was a bronze in patterns. And I always I
Mm.
went thinking I was looking to win the sparring. So it's like I maybe didn't achieve the number one goal, and like that, it took me. I say, like, I know chatting to a lot of people, they've said that their first tournament is often like an eye opener to the level you have to get to, and then and it's kind of maybe the second or third as you progress on that you might win a medal. But for me,
Mm.
it nearly took 3 or 4 tournaments before, not just the first one, it took 3 or 4 before I was able to get myself into the right place, maybe mentally to go through a few rounds.
No,
So
but
yeah,
it was yeah, it was the same for me. I mean, it's a lot of pressure to start competing, especially at that level, because you can't compare that to anything you've done before. I mean, you have the small competitions or you go to like a smaller cup or something like that, but once you're there in the European Championships or the World Championships, I mean, it's something else. It really gives you, yeah, like it can wash over you like a wave.
yeah,
So
like that.
yeah.
That's interesting. What you said, like as well, that winning the team medals can make like often made it feel that it wasn't the worst championships. And I kind of had that as well. And I think it happens for quite a lot of people, is that maybe you took, I know you said you won all the team events, but sometimes you see somebody just takes a bronze as part of a team patterns, a team pattern or a team sparring, and suddenly like the how the championship is remembered way better because they were on the podium, they had a medal. It's like they maybe didn't get the medal they wanted or like the number one medal they were pushing for, but they got something and got that chance to step on the podium. So they still look back on that then with good memories.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's quite a different experience when you win something as a team or when you, like as you said, you get a medal with a team, because you have you have the other people on the team to share your joy with, which makes it much cooler. And I mean, for me, that was worth a lot more as a junior than winning something individually, I think, because I won it with some of my best friends, and I mean, that's quite cool.
Yeah, and then so it was a kind of a switch over even then, maybe because the switch in focus, switching from Norway to Sweden, and I don't think Sweden would you have had a senior female team recently?
I mean, we had for the last Euros, we had a senior female team in sparring, but not for any of the other events, because not a lot of people like the special techniques. Not a lot of people want to do power break. Like I would have to do one of the power breaks, and I mean, I'd probably only do the Yopshagi, which might be okay, but I don't think
Everybody
I
wants
wouldn't be able
to.
exactly, because you won't get yourself hurt. No, but I mean, yeah. So we usually have a team, female team for sparring, but it's been a long time since we had something in patterns. I don't think we've had that since 2013 when it was in Skövde in Sweden. So I mean, yeah, but it's also because there's not been a lot of senior females that have competed. I mean, at times we've only been 2 or 3, and I mean, you can't fill a team with that.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
So do you think like so maybe that was part of like less focus on team events and a bit more focus on individual? I think that maybe played a part.
Definitely, I think that played a part. I mean, it made me focus more on what I wanted to achieve and what I wanted to get out of my training and workouts and my competition career and stuff like that. Because it puts a lot of pressure on yourself when you know that the only way you're gonna like get a medal of some sort is what
Just
you do. Not
yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So, but do you guys have a lot of team, or because
And we
you always fill the teams?
Well, we have big teams,
Yeah.
but this time it was going to be a bit smaller for the Europeans. We had I think the last year we were up on into the 50s and 60 odd competitors. This time we were down like I think it was 38 or 39 competitors, and we weren't doing team pattern. We had no team patterns, so that was kind
Huh.
of the first year that was kind of really going to happen. That we were going to have no team pattern.
Mm.
but like that, yeah, we usually fill a lot of spots, but recently it's been the sparring where we win the medals. So
Yeah, but yeah, you guys are great in sparring. So I mean, it's always really cool to see that you have that many competitors at such a high level. It's really inspiring. So yeah,
yeah,
on both the female and the male side. So that's cool.
yeah, which kind of brings me on to that, like the females, especially at senior level, was for years was never had that many. Like, it was very hard to get a senior female team together.
Mm.
But then we managed to get a lot of, like, the juniors came through, like Sarah and Louise and Ellen and Jet, like the ones who are there now.
Yeah,
But when they were junior, they weren't really looking up to many senior females. There wasn't a team, so like they had to kind of wait for them to push through to become
yeah.
seniors. Which is like, do you find it hard maybe being on the team and not having a lot of other females around?
I do, yeah, yeah. Because I mean, it sort of made me compare myself to the males on the team, and I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, that's not really a realistic goal either because I mean, physically and from the anatomy of things, males are always going to be a bit faster, a bit stronger, a bit, I mean, yeah, especially seeing as a lot of the guys that I've been training with have been quite a lot heavier than I have. So, yeah, it's made it quite hard. But I also think that it's helped me actually because I've had to push myself a bit further on the trainings, seeing as how I've been competing against them and not just against other females. But yeah, I definitely miss having more females on the team and
yeah.
yeah, training as well.
Even just for maybe like I said, the enjoyment. Do you find it hard going on a trip and maybe only having a few, maybe one or two other females on the team?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I get along with the guys as well, but it's a bit different. I mean, especially before, yeah, because you can talk to a different way with another female on the team than you might do with the males or your coaches or something like that. So yeah, it might be more relaxing to have a few more women on the team.
Yeah, I believe it. Like, because I think that's even maybe why. As I thought for us back in that time, there was only ever one or two females, and maybe they
Mm.
drop off. And I do think maybe to some degree that was because when you're looking around and you're maybe the only female around, or maybe there's one other, it's kind of like not too enjoyable. Like,
Not exactly, yeah.
um, so like, when was the first time then you took an individual medal?
Um, my first individual was in Riccione, 2014. That was my first as a yeah, both as a senior and an individual at all, which was quite cool. So that was nice. Um, in sparring, that was my first one. Now I lied. I'm sorry. My other first medal was a silver the year before at the World Championships in Benidorm, but that was in special techniques. But that was cool as well because I mean, I hadn't done anything in special techniques before that, and I sort of just went along with what my coaches said that you should try this as well, and I was like, okay, I'll jump, and then it went
Yeah,
a lot better than I had expected, so that was quite cool. But yeah, that wasn't really what I was going for, but it was nice, yeah. So
and did you find, because for myself I kind of found this, like I said already, like, didn't do massively well individually as a junior, and I nearly felt turning senior that there was a little bit less pressure because, at least for the first one or two, it's kind of, you're maybe not expected to win straight away. Did you find anything similar?
yeah, I definitely felt that, and that was quite nice because I mean, as a junior, you sort of always felt like you had to prove yourself because otherwise you were not going to be able to stay on the team, or you might not be like put up to the senior level when you turned 18 and stuff. And I mean, it's just kind of nice to feel that okay, I'm still on the team, but there's not a lot of pressure. I mean, I might have one or two competitions where it doesn't go as well, but it's kind of nice being the underdog as well because yeah, nobody's expecting anything actually, so it's cool.
It's a lot different if you're 18 and it's maybe your third or fourth championships, and you're maybe expected more to win. But like you said, when you turn senior, you could be going against somebody who's 30. It's like, who has 15 years experience, and you're kind of going as well. I'm not really expected to win there. So like that, it does take some pressure off, and anytime you can take pressure off and relax yourself is always a benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it makes you sort of, yeah, chill in every different way. And I mean, the mental part of taekwondo and any sport is quite important, because I mean, if you're not there mentally, you're not going to achieve anything, because you're just going to sort of shut down or lock off. And I mean, yeah, it's nice when you don't have pressure, because you're not sort of freaking yourself out either, because you know that, as you said, I mean, some of the first people I met, it's like after I'd been in the ring with them, my coaches were like, "Do you know who that was?" And I'm like, "No, I've heard her name. Yeah, well, she's world champion from that and that." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, cool. That's good. Then I know why I didn't win. Then I mean, that's fine." So yeah.
Was there many changes like to improve and change your mindset to, like, say, go from maybe the first or second round to push into the medals? Did you change anything, or was there any light bulb moment that everything kind of clicked?
There's been quite a few, actually. I mean, there's been both physical and mental changes since I was a junior. The year that I won my first championship in sparring, 2014. After I'd been at a school in Norway where everything you do is taekwondo. So all I'd been doing was training taekwondo for like 24/7, and I mean that helped a lot as well, because it gave me more confidence, and it made me believe in myself that, okay, I know I've trained enough. I know I'm in a great shape, the best shape of my life, and I have a full support team, a safety net, everything. And it just sort of, it clicked when I came to the competition and the arena, that I was like, okay, I was feeling calm, because I knew what I'd done. I knew that my lineup and the training I'd been doing up until that point was more than enough, and it was better structured than anything I'd have ever done before. But also, we'd been working quite a lot on sort of situations where we weren't really comfortable, and we'd been pushing each other to relax in those moments and in those situations as well. And I mean, that helped me a lot in all situations I encountered during the competition, from getting to the arena and you feel the nerves, to warming up, to stepping onto the ring, and then, yeah, everything. How about you? You've experienced something like that?
Yeah, like, I found, and it took me a little bit, a bit of trial and error. I kind of found, because like I found like I went that, like, in that European Championships in 2013 in Sweden.
Mm,
I got to the final, but then the World Championships, I lost first round, and then I got to the final, then I lost first round, and then it was kind of,
yeah.
it took me a while, and I kind of realized what I was doing. Like, turning up on the day of a competition, I found the times I lost first round, I was watching all these other fights going on, and I was watching other
Mm,
divisions, and all of a sudden I started thinking, oh, Jesus, am I ready now? Like, am I sharp enough? And I
mm,
started putting some doubt in my head, and so then I started building up then, and I found in a couple of times, and it was nearly by accident, a couple of times I had medalled and done well, ended up by nearly complete accident not watching any spars, actually just turning up,
mm,
and like, whether it was falling, taking a nap in the arena, or just going to the warm-up area. It was kind of like not seeing anybody else competing and just focus on my one match
yeah.
that I was coming up. It helped a lot. So then I kind of made that a conscious effort to, like, in 2015 in Scotland,
Mm,
to, I'm actually going to get to go to it, and I'm not going to watch any taekwondo in the morning. I'm just going to go to the warm-up area and chill out there, and thankfully it
mm,
worked. So so it's kind of like, it took a bit of time for, like, that to really, like I said, learn how to deal with the nerves going to the arena and before getting on the floor and stuff. Now, like, it's not so much a thing now, because I really feel like I've so much experience and I'm so used to it, and that it's like, and the fact I can look back on that, I've had some success. It's kind of like, I know I'm good enough. That's kind of the way I feel, without sounding like big headed or anything. It's like, you just have to have
no, no,
that belief. But that's how I feel now. It's not so much a thing, but for a while and for a bit of time it was.
yeah. No, but I can relate to that. I mean, I'm, not to sound like a douche or anything, but I'm like the most selfish person ever on the day I'm gonna compete, especially in sparring. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to see any fights. I don't want to hear anything about how the sparring's going, or who's there, or who's done well, or anything. So I just sort of plug my music in and do my own thing. And I mean, it's worked. So yeah, I think you need to be in your own bubble sort of before a competition. Yeah, just focus yourself.
100%. I'm the same. Yeah, it's like, before I would have been, all caught up in, oh, like there's this really good match in the minus 70 kilo first division. I want to see that match. And then, you know, you just get silly things that you get caught up in. Whereas now, like you said, yeah, it's on the day I'm competing, it's selfish. I don't care who's on maybe in the morning. If I'm not on till the afternoon, I'm staying in bed. I'm making sure I get breakfast or whatever. It's like, it's about me that day. And I feel like
I agree.
You do need to have that focus on the day you're competing, because there's like that, you get one shot at it, you get one. It's, you know, it's, you have to make sure that when you step on the floor for the first match that you're fully prepared, because you're not getting a second chance, and all the weeks of training could be gone for not get to perform your best.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you have to be on point from the start, because there's no doers. I mean, it's winner or lose. That's the way it is. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that but I feel like, did you find like after, I only kind of found for myself that, you know, there was maybe, like I said, watching divisions and certain things like that it was only like on reflection after it took me for like 4 tournaments to realize, like, it wasn't something I kind of realized after one tournament. Did you kind of have anything like that where it was like, it wasn't maybe immediately after a tournament you felt, oh, I need to do this better, or maybe I should change this? It maybe took to look back on 3 or 4 years or 3 or 4 competitions to kind of go, do you know what, actually that's not working?
No, it was sort of actually after 2013 in Sweden. I sort of realized that I was so nervous when I was watching other people's fights on the day before my fight that I was sitting there shaking. And I just realized that this is not where I'm supposed to be. This is not a state that's good before my competition or my time in the ring. And I just, after that, I reflected upon it, and I talked to my coach, and he was like, well, maybe you shouldn't be in the arena at all before your fight. Just get there and go to the warm-up area, like you said. And it was sort of an eye-opener, because I didn't realize how much energy I was taking for myself, because I was just there to support my teammates, or like you said, there's a cool match and the cool matchup between the guys in minus 70 or something else. Or I mean, yeah. And I mean, you can watch that later, because especially now with all the live streams and stuff, if I want to go back and see something, I can watch it after my fight. I don't have to give it the time before.
Yeah. You probably didn't miss much in terms of, yeah, maybe it was a great match, but you know, was it worth losing your match just to see it? You know, it's not really worth it.
No, it never is. And I mean, it's just this, it's cooler if I win my match than if somebody else wins their match. I mean,
yeah,
not to be selfish or anything, but in that moment, that's what means the most. That's why I'm there. So
yeah. So then, when was the first time you won gold? Was I right?
Gold individually?
Yeah.
That was 2014 in the European Championships. So it was in sparring. Yeah, minus 68. That was quite cool. That was the first time, yeah. And I didn't really expect it, but it was just one of these competitions where you've done the training before, you're in a good state, like mentally, and the flow was just amazing. I mean, I went from fight, and it just felt like my energy never like wore off, and I could move fast, and my legs never felt heavy, and it was just this amazing, big, cool feeling where I just felt like I was, like unbeatable. And well, I won, so that feeling was right. So it was cool, yeah.
And how many matches did you have at that tournament?
I think it was 5. Yeah, 5.
Would that have been the first time you fought 5 matches?
Yeah, that was the first time I fought 5 matches in a row like that. Yeah, which was cool. And I mean, as I said, I thought I was going to be more tired after that, but after every fight I was winning, I just gave myself more energy, which is also very cool. So it was just an amazing feeling. And I mean, I remember when they like put my hand up and everything, and it's like they told me I'd won. I didn't really believe it for a second. So it took a while for the like feeling to hit. So when I went off the like mat and took my helmet off, I was like, did this really happen, or am I just like imagining everything? So yeah.
5 matches. I felt like it's tough. 5 matches. I've only, because I remember the world championships in Ireland, thinking it's like that was the first time I've had 5 matches at a tournament like that. So as all the times in 57, it was 4 matches. So I had
Yeah.
four for the final, win or lose. I had four. So that one was the first time I had five. And it is tough, like, to go 5 matches and win 5 in a row. It's on the same day. It's a tough achievement. Like, so, like,
Yeah, no, it was really, I mean, I felt it in the evening when I like was coming down from my high. But I was like, okay, I'm really tired, and I'm like, it was painful in places, and it was like a bit, yeah, you could feel that it's martial art and you get hit. So yeah. And I was bruised in like my ear and under my eye, and I hadn't even noticed that before. And I mean, yeah, it was just cool, but exhausting at the same time.
yeah, well, those aches and pains take the winning feeling to another level then, because it feels worth
Yeah.
it.
Definitely, definitely, yeah. And I mean, it's nice to have a few prizes like with the bruises and stuff. You're like, okay, I've actually been in the ring. I've actually fought. It's an awesome feeling.
Yeah. So then, like, the Worlds in Ireland, did you have 5 matches there as well?
No, I had 4, but it was actually quite a weird day for me, competitive wise, because I started out early in the morning, and then so I was in the arena for the start of the day, but then our fights got pushed back, so I was all warmed up and ready to go, and then they pushed them back a few hours. So I was like, okay. So then I had to relax back down, sort of catch my breath again, and then I got one match before they broke off to lunch. So then I was like warmed up again, and then I had to cool back down, try to eat something, because I mean, on the day of the competitions, I'm usually so nervous I can't eat anything more than like half a banana. But I knew that it was going to be a long day, so that was, yeah, it was weird. And then after lunch, I got 2 fights, and then they told me that since it was me in Ireland in the final, they wanted to have it on the gala. So then I had to wait until the evening again. So it was like the whole day I was in the arena, and I just remember being so tired when I was going up for the final, and then when I was going to warm up, that I just wanted it to sort of be over. But at the same time, I knew that, okay, it's now or never. It's like either I give it my all now, or I'm not gonna be able to bring this home. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was something similar. Like, I started 11, and like, I had a first round, because I was I think there was maybe 4 matches in the first round, and
Mm,
then everybody else got a bye, and I was one of those matches. So I was going to have a match, but then the person who I would have been fighting, who would have had the bye, that I would have been fighting next day, had a bye, but it was from a
mm,
country. I cannot remember the country for the life of me, but they weren't there. So I had a bye in the
okay.
second round, and I was at the
Mm,
bottom of the draw, So I came down the top. I had a match that went over, and then it was back up to the top, came down, draw, bye, and I had to go back up the top. So it was like, between my first
oh.
match and second match was like 2 hours. And then, like you said, and I had 2 back-to-back, 2 quick matches, and then it broke for lunch. And it was like the
Mm.
semi-final after lunch, where I have a break again, because the finals is going to be, so it's another break for another hour or so. So like that, it's like started at 11 and like ended up fighting the final at 5 o'clock. And like there was a lot of warming
Yeah.
up down. And I remember even at the break in the final, my hamstring was just cramping up. Like I was saying to Adrian, my coach, it's like, yeah, like, my hamstring here it's cramping up, like even just bouncing, and anytime I went to push off. So I was like, all that warming up and cooling down, like, it didn't really help. But
No,
like,
no,
you just get through it.
yeah, sorry.
You just get through it nearly. Like, you're just gonna have to put it out of your head, and you say, like, just give it everything and see what happens.
Yeah, no, I remember that as well. Like during the break in the final, I told Arto, my coach, he's like, how do you feel? You feel good? And I was like, no, I don't. It's like my legs are so heavy. I feel like I can't breathe. I'm really tired. And he's like, okay, you know what? Just like shut up for a while, because this is like, it's 2 more minutes of your life. You can be tired after the fight. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I can be tired after. But I was exhausted. And I just remember like when I saw that I was in the lead, the last 5 seconds of the fight, I just started crying. So I couldn't really see what I was doing for the last few seconds. And I was just really afraid of, and it's quite weird, I was really afraid of stepping too close to the edge and falling off like the centering, seeing as
Yeah.
it's high up. Yeah, so that was my fear the last few seconds of the fight. It's like, please don't fall off, because I don't want to make a fool out of myself. So
Yeah. 5 seconds was kind of even from myself in the final, where I kind of felt like I had stepped out, And you see, and I remember looking at the clock and I'm seeing 5 and I'm thinking, right, okay, okay. Then I saw like 5, 4, 3 and I'm thinking, right,
Mm.
3 seconds. But obviously the warning was still going on, so the clock was still running. But in my head, it was like, I have 3 more seconds to fight. And it was kind of funny then. It
Yep.
hit 0 and I'm like, oh, he can't go again. It's all, it's that kind of thing of, oh, it's over. It's just,
Yeah.
it's done. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find any more pressure maybe fighting Ireland in the final in Ireland? Going against Maeve?
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, definitely I did. I mean, I felt like everybody was cheering for Maeve because, yeah. But
They
I mean,
were.
obviously they were, yeah, I know. I've heard on the movies and stuff that I've watched after, yeah. But I mean, yeah. I was used to being the underdog there because I'd just come back from like 2 years of injury. So I wasn't expecting anything myself. I was actually really surprised to make it through the first round. And I was definitely not expecting ending up in the final. But when I was in the final, I know I said to myself in the ring, it's like it's now or never. But it was a surreal experience, and it was really weird feeling everybody cheer for Ireland and sort of hoping for you to lose. But in one way, it was that sort of motivated me more because I was like, okay, now I'm gonna prove everybody wrong. But yeah, and I mean, I think Maeve's an amazing fighter, and I always have thought she is. So it was really fun. It was a really fun fight, and it was hard because I mean she's so tall and her legs are like everywhere, and it was hard, but it was cool. So yeah.
Yeah, it was a good match. Yeah, like that was we had that run of all them Ireland bit, like the Ireland girls getting to the final. It was and the people like you then were spoiling it and winning. It was like,
Sorry. No, but it was fun. Yeah, but I had the same thing when we were in Slovenia the year after for the
yeah,
Euros. I ended up in the final against Slovenia, against Ursa. So it was the same thing all over again. In Ireland, everybody was cheering for Maeve, and in Slovenia, everybody was cheering for Ursa. And I mean, it sort of feels like that works out for me. So yeah.
you find like that, then maybe like you said already, like, that takes some pressure off going into the final.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, again, it feels like nobody's expecting you to win because everybody's cheering for the other person. So it sort of it helped me relax, and I just got to do my thing. Nobody screaming and shouting at me. I could focus on what I wanted to do. Yeah.
So like how then, like what would a training, would your training schedule look like if it was I suppose a normal week and get training for a championships? What would a training week look like?
Well, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday I do Taekwondo because that's usually how our trainings are scheduled. And then in the mornings I usually go out for a run. So either I go a few kilometers or I do intervals or stairs or hill, something like that. It depends on what I feel like after the training the night before. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I usually do like strength training. So I do conditioning and stuff like that, which is, I feel it's very important both for, especially since I've had a few injuries and stuff, I want to keep my body strong as well. And then Saturdays are usually just that's my day off usually, because I need a day off as well because you need your body to recover. And sometimes I've been flexible with that as well, that if I feel like on a Wednesday that my body's not where I want it to be for a training, I'd switch it around and then I do the training on Saturday instead, because there's always somebody who wants to train. There's always people around, so it usually works out well.
Yeah, it was interesting you saying it as well because Hong posted on the TKD journal. I don't know if you saw it earlier on today, and saying that he took one of the things he did for the Euros and just last year in 2019 was he added in a rest day and making sure he stuck to the rest day, which I think because even knowing myself, it can be hard to stick to a rest day because you feel like that. Well, I'm sitting here resting, and maybe other people are training, but it's you need that rest day to let the body recover.
Yeah, I mean, you really do, because if you push your body too far, you're not going to get the recovery that you need, and then you might end up injured instead because you're not giving your body enough time to adjust the training you're doing or to just relax and rebuild.
Yeah, and is strength and conditioning, is that something you would have always done, or was it something you kind of introduced at some point?
That was something I really started with like 2014 when I was at that school in Norway, because then we did a lot of that during our trainings as well. Because during that year, everything I did was Taekwondo. I mean, we had 2.5 hours of Taekwondo training every morning, and then we had 1 or 2 hours after lunch as well. And then in the evenings, we had strength training or some sort of conditioning or something like that. So it was quite an eye opener because I realized that I needed that as well, especially since I've been tall, but I've been quite light. Like I've not been in a heavy category. I know that my body, it's working harder than maybe the muscles have been able to take. So
Yeah,
I needed more, I needed more strength to be able to cope with that, because I felt like my hips were giving out, my knees were giving out, and I mean, you sort of need both of those to be able to do Taekwondo. So yeah. How
yeah.
about you? You do a lot of strength?
Something I've added in, like I would have done a lot more before, because just
Mm,
I enjoy going to the gym. Well, it was something I wasn't doing for a lot of time. Just wasn't something I did a lot of, and then I added in where I was
mm,
doing lots of it because I just enjoy it. Um,
yeah.
and now it's something I do like 3 times a week at some point, and like there for the lead up to this one, I was doing it twice a week. So something I
Mm,
feel like is important to have in. But yeah, it's been up and down. Like I said, if I could, and if it wasn't going to affect my, or if it wasn't going to take time from taekwondo training, I'd love to be going to the gym 6 days a week. It's what,
yeah.
it's that time that you could be spending improving your taekwondo performance, and so muscles for go versus muscles for show.
Yeah, yeah, I know, I agree. But I mean, that's some things of the thing I noticed when I started, because I do powerlifting, so sort of the more explosive things like snatches and cleans and jerks and stuff. And I noticed that it improved both my sparring and my patterns, because my body was just a lot quicker in both reacting, and it was stronger as well. So it was quite cool to see the improvement when I started doing it more structured, to see how what a difference it made for me as a taekwondo competitor compared to before when I wasn't doing anything of it.
And do you program for yourself then, or do you have somebody who kind of programs for you and looks after your strength training?
In the beginning, I sort of programmed it myself, but then I realized that I wanted it more structured. So I have a colleague at my work, because I was a masseuse for a while. So he's a personal trainer, and he's been at a high level in boxing in Sweden. So and he sort of helped me and made a program for me, which was quite cool, because it sort of made it easier to do what I was supposed to do when I got to the gym, and I didn't really have to think it through, because in the beginning I was like, okay, today I have to do this and this and this, and it took quite a lot of time, like setting everything up and making a schedule or plan in my head. It was much easier when I just got to the gym and knew, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then I'm done. So yeah.
Yeah, because I would program my strength training for myself, and I know like it can be
Mm,
hard because you feel like that. It's like, yeah, okay, I have this plan, but then you kind of, after 2 weeks, you're kind of like, oh well, actually maybe I want to change that, and then it's kind of, you have to be, no, I'm going to stick to this. So I find I do have to, like, for myself, I have to plan 4 6 weeks at a time nearly, and sometimes, and it's nearly, I have, when I have those 6 weeks planned, and then I'm thinking kind of, well, this is what I want for the next one, and I have that done like nearly 2 weeks before I'm going to start that kind of block. It's like I need to have that written down, because like I have to have it written down and just go, right, no, I'm turning up and this is what I'm doing today, and don't change it at all. So
no,
yeah,
it's same here. Yeah, yeah. Because I felt like I needed something that was sort of, yeah, more structured and gave me a plan and sort of a red thread that followed through. So I was actually doing something to get to another point, not just because I knew I needed to do it. It was
yeah,
sort of towards a goal, which made all the difference as well.
yeah. I've even found times that if I don't write down what I'm going to do, sometimes it can be very, you're open to change it, because like it's only in your head, it's not actually, we'll say, like nearly set in stone. It's like, okay, well, I turn up there and I want to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and then kind of a little bit in, you're kind of like, actually maybe I'll change this, and you change it around, and you kind of realize is that wasn't really, you didn't do anything like what you wanted to do, but you just changed it. So I feel like, yeah,
Mm.
if I need that structure for myself, even like just write it down, and it's set in stone, then that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely need that, because I mean, as you said, sometimes if I got to the gym and I just planned something in my head, and let's say like the squat rack was busy or somebody else had taken up a space that I wanted to be, I'd just be like, okay, well then I'm not doing that today. And then I'd switch my whole plan. And then when I went home, I was like, this is not what I was supposed to do. This is nothing to do with what I was training for today. So now I have to do something all over again.
Yeah, I've definitely done that before as well. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yep.
What kind of prompted the change from 68 to minus 75?
Well, that sort of was after my injury, because I got injured after the World Championships 2013. I got a bit of an injury, and then after 2014 was my last in the 68. I sort of realized that my body was just, it wasn't really coping with being at that low of a weight very well. And I mean, usually I'm around 70 kilos and my body just didn't want to go down to 68 anymore. And I was getting more and more pain in like my hips and my knees, as I was saying. And when I started the strength training, I went up to like 71 or 72. And I sort of realized that, okay, my body likes being here and I like eating food. So, and I mean, I'm tall as well. And I was still tall for being in minus 68, minus 75. So it just felt very natural. And I realized that if I want to keep competing for a while, I need to listen to what my body wants as well. I can't just pick a number in my head and stick to it if it's not working for my physical health. So then, 75 seemed like a good match.
Yeah, like I suppose I could say like I'd be somebody who maybe cuts quite a lot of weight to get to minus 57, and like it is structured and it is planned, that it is done well. But I suppose the last one wasn't done too well. But the ones before that have been done quite well. But yeah, like I said, I think there's something that often you have to weigh up is what's the benefit of dropping down versus maybe moving up, because like you said, you weren't going to be small at minus 75. So what's the point? And if you're not going to be, if it's not much of a physical jump, like in terms of height and reach and strength, and what is there a point in making yourself drop down to 68 if it's not going to benefit your performance?
No, I mean, and I felt like, as you said, I had the reach. I was taller than most people except Maeve, who's taller than I am, but that's a first. And I mean, then I didn't see the benefit of having to make the drop when I could eat and function normally exactly the same way as I do all year round during the season that I compete as well. It sort of made everything click and feel better, and it made me relaxed in the ring, that I wasn't changing anything too much before a competition. I could just keep on doing what I was doing, and it felt really good. So 75 was a good switch.
Yeah, being able to eat food is always, not having to stop that's always a benefit.
Yeah, that's always good. I like food, so.
And like, who would you say then has been your toughest opponent, if you had to pick a toughest opponent?
Oh wow. Well, yeah. During the competition in Ireland there, I think May was definitely hard, because I'd never ever gone up against anybody who was taller than I am or had longer legs. So I had to switch my tactics up totally, because I'm the one that's steering everything. And and I have the upper hand because I'm taller and I have a further reach. So that was actually quite hard, because I wasn't prepared for that. And I hadn't really prepared at all for anybody to be taller, because I wasn't expecting anybody to be taller or have a further reach. So that was harder than I thought it would be. But also, I mean, me and Ursa have had quite a few rounds for years. And I mean, in the beginning, I thought it was because, I mean, she's a bit shorter and I had my tactics that worked. But at the last World Championships, she'd figured something out that made it really hard for me to switch my tactics, which was, it was weird, because I'm used to having a plan A, a plan B, or a plan C that works, but nothing I did worked. She'd really done her homework, which was also really cool, because I mean, I'm happy for when my fellow competitors like can achieve goals, or when they do well. Even if I don't, I'm happy for other people, because yeah, we're doing it for the same reason, all of us. It's because we love the sport. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, like you forget sometimes when you are coming up with the tactics to beat other people, you sometimes forget that they could be coming with tactics to beat you, and then all of a sudden
Exactly.
your game plan doesn't work. You need a new game plan. So your game plan is based around what that person's going to do, and if they don't do that, then maybe your plan is not the right plan anymore.
No, exactly. And I mean, you've been there, right?
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I remember. Like, I think it was the European Championships in 2017. I fought Rizmar Norbert from Hungary, and yeah, I kind of had an idea how I was going to fight. No, actually, sorry, it was the World Championships in 2015 against Rizmar Norbert. I kind of thought, right, well, I have my tactics, because I thought he was going to fight a certain way, and he didn't. So it was kind of like, oh well, I have to adjust, and it didn't really go to plan, and he ended up winning. But the next time then I fought him, it was a much closer fight, and it was much closer because I had seen maybe what his idea was going to be. So yeah, but like, yeah, definitely been caught once or twice with that. The person doesn't do what you're expecting. They come with their own game plan, and it's a challenge.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I mean, I find myself sometimes wondering what I could have done to be more prepared. But then I realized that I couldn't, because no matter what I'm doing, I'm never going to know what they're doing on their training, or to prepare for their competition. So I mean, it's always a game of who did their preparation or their tactical work best.
And I know you've said already at the last Euros you didn't compete individually, were just coaching. And I know maybe you did touch briefly on it and said that you're thinking about opening a club. Is that kind of something you're considering much, like a route to go down, coaching and being an instructor in a club, having your own club?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's been a dream of mine for quite long. I've educated myself so I can work in a club during a day as an osteopath, and then having like trainings and stuff in the evening, which I think would work out quite great. But it's been it's definitely a work in process or progress. And I mean, I'm talking with a friend of mine who's been a coach up in Stockholm for a while, who's going to move back down to Gothenburg where I live, and we're thinking about opening up a club together maybe next year, because we were supposed to do it this fall, but I don't think we're going to do it now with everything that's happening in the world. So we'll wait until next year. But I actually enjoyed it. Yeah.
Myself, and so I can open a club myself, and then all of this kind of kicked off. It's going to throw in a bit of a spanner in the works, but like that, hopefully when it all ties over, I could be ready to go.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be fun to like share my experiences and help other people achieve their goals, and just share the passion and the sport, which is cool. Because I mean, I've always thought that if you start Taekwondo, you're not really, and you like fall for it like we've done, and you just really get stuck, you're not gonna quit just because you can't compete anymore. So you're just gonna find a new way to enjoy it. And I mean, that was actually quite cool when I was at the Euros last year, because I mean, I didn't expect it to be so much fun just coaching. But it turned out that really, I could get hooked on that as well. So it was nice.
Yeah, it's different when, as I say, it's hard when you're a coach or you're sitting back watching, and it's not like playing the PlayStation. It's not a computer game where you can press the button and they do the technique that you want them to do. When you have to, give the instruction, and they have to, process the instruction, make that, see what you're telling them, and actually make it happen. It's quite hard, especially when you're standing on the outside and you can see what they need to do, and it's just not getting there, and it's a different type of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, sometimes I was just like frustrated, but sort of in a good way, because it made me want to push them further as well. But I found myself wanting to jump into the ring and sort of doing things for them at times. It's like, okay, wait, I'm going to show you, like, this is what I mean. But you can't really do that either, because that's not how it works. So, yeah.
Yeah, and like, I've had it like, people always are laughing at me when my sister goes to spar, because I nearly get more worked up for that, and I nearly sweat more. I'm more animated. Like when I'm sparring, I'm much more relaxed, because it's like, well, I know I'm in control. Like that, when you're not in control of the other person, and it's much more difficult.
It definitely is. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same way with a few of the people from my club that I
Yeah.
coached in the Euros. And I mean, I've trained them from like when they were juniors, and I've helped them all the way up. And then they go into the ring, and I'm like, okay, I'm more stressed because I know how much it means to them, and I know I can't do anything to control the outcome, and it just makes me so nervous. It makes me so much more nervous than I've ever been for myself, and it's cool, but it's weird.
Yeah, so that's what, but I feel that's why that's kind of adds to the feeling then when the person is successful. It's kind of like, you know, you have that enjoyment of it. They got to achieve, but maybe you didn't have total control, so it adds to that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's yeah, as I said, it's a cool feeling.
And kind of just before we finish up, I've been asking everybody, who would you say is your favorite fighter of all time? Doesn't necessarily, I don't know if you have an interest in boxing or MMA or other combat sports. So if you do, you could
Mm.
pick maybe somebody like that, or if not, if it's just a Taekwondo fighter, and
Mm.
who would you say is your favorite fighter?
Well, I've always had or taken inspiration from a Swedish fighter actually, whose name is Pernilla Johansson, and she was doing taekwondo before, and she won like a European championship and stuff like that. And she was also working as a police, but then she went over to Thai boxing and she won the world championships in that as well. And I just thought that was really cool because she proved that you could do more things than just one with hard work. And I just always thought that was really inspirational and cool. Plus, she's a great person, and I mean, she's always been really nice to me when I've met her, and she was just my biggest like idol when I was small. So yeah, Pernilla Johansson from Sweden.
Right. Would you consider trying kickboxing or MMA or Thai boxing yourself?
I
Or you
did a bit of
want to,
kickboxing when a few years back as extra training, but I didn't really compete in it because there were these rules in the Swedish national team, and the competitions would just like not work out with those rules. But I did that for a while, and that's really fun. And then my sister does a bit of kickboxing, and she has a few Thai boxers in her club as well. So I've trained a bit with them, and I was in Thailand a few years back and did that for a month and a half. So yeah, I definitely consider doing other sports as well because I think you can always learn more, and that's what I like about martial arts. That it's like you're never finished learning. There's always new things you could try, new sports, new elements of the one that you're already in. So it's just you continue learning throughout your whole life. Yeah.
yeah, definitely agree there. I think that's maybe a good place to finish up. Um, really enjoyed the chat. It was great
Yeah,
to have
me
you
too. Thank you
on.
for having me.
Thanks for coming on, and hopefully we'll be back training and teaching and all that fairly soon. Well, I suppose maybe
I hope so.
you're not you're not totally affected, but hopefully it does it. Hopefully you will be continue to be able to train and keep teaching and stuff, and hopefully we'll get back to it, and this won't drag on too long.
No, I hope it's over soon so everybody can get back to doing what we love.
And we can maybe get a World Cup in.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So stay safe, and we'll I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.